Welcome back to TheChowTimePod. It's your host, Red. I got a video today from the wall. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. I really appreciate that. Let's get that chow. It's chow time.
There's one more secret I feel I have to share with you. I did not care for The Godfather.
What?
Did not care for The Godfather.
Blasphemy!
So there's a little, like, I don't know what started this topic on Twitter. Apparently people are talking about, like, asking women or their significant other for a DNA test and how it should be, like, mandatory and, you know, women shouldn't be upset. And I saw this one and I was like, I agree that, you know, if you a dude and you feel like you got to get a DNA test, whether you married, a long-time situationship, whatever y'all got going on. If you feel that way, by all means, go do it. However, once you ask that question, once you ask her for a DNA test and she want a divorce or want to break up with you, you can't be upset at that, bruh. Because my thing is, especially if you married, what the fuck is stopping you from getting a little snippet of your kid's hair or their toothbrush or whatever? You can easily get the DNA from the kid without her ever knowing.
Yeah, the kid's already born, though. You're probably already presumed as the father at that point. What are you talking about? The DNA test at birth makes it so that if it wasn't his child, he knows immediately. There's no, emotions build together. There's no raising of the child and stuff. The man knows immediately.
And doing whatever you need to do to get your peace of mind.
I want to share some interesting facts about paternity tests. American Association of Blood Banks, AABB. According to a 2004 report by the AABB, approximately 25.92% of paternity tests conducted in accredited laboratories resulted in an exclusion of paternity. In other words, nearly 1 in 4 men tested were not the biological fathers.
And we know that number is probably higher, maybe 1/3 of all children.
Ampligen Laboratory. This lab reports that between 15% and 30% of the paternity tests they perform result in an exclusion. This means that 1 to 3 out of every 10 men tested are not the biological fathers. It's important to note that these percentages can vary depending on the context in which the tests are performed. For instance, in situations where there are doubts about paternity, it's more likely for these tests to be requested, which could lead to a higher percentage of exclusions. However, when considering men who have never undergone such tests, the actual percentage might be even higher.
So if you bring it up to her and you ask her and you're in a committed relationship, you want to get broken up with. It's not about the kid and wanting a peace of mind at that point.
You're so crazy. This guy is so crazy that he doesn't think it's about peace of mind. Like, bro, have you ever raised a child that you thought was yours and it ended up not being? No, you didn't. And I have not personally done it, but I've known men that have. And it's a devastating thing. You should just take people's word as is.
You can get the DNA. Like, you can literally go grab their brush, get a piece of hair, get the kit, send it off, get it back without her ever fucking knowing. Get it sent to your pop
This guy's
house,
dumb.
your mama house, whatever
Completely
the case may be.
dumb.
If you really wanted to know, you really had some doubt in your mind. If you bring it up and you're in a committed relationship or marriage, you just trying to piss off. You trying to insinuate whatever the case you trying to insinuate.
Can the women just give men peace of mind without us insinuating anything? Like, can it just be a thing where women don't mind doing it because they want their husbands, their partners to have peace of mind that this is their children?
If it was really
Their
about
child?
peace of mind, it wouldn't be hard, bro. I'm sorry. So if she wanted to divorce and break up with you after that, I wouldn't blame her, because that's your dumb ass fault. Y'all better start letting social media hype y'all up. You know, goddamn well that's your kid. Go in there and goddamn wipe his ass.
Absolutely. You don't need to tell anyone if you decide to take a DNA test for your own peace of mind. What's interesting is that most men who take these tests fully trusted their partners. This shows that if DNA tests were mandatory, paternity fraud would likely be much more common than we think. Personally, I believe in the importance of these tests. I also think it's necessary to discuss these topics with your partner before having children. It's not about threatening to take a test, but about having an open conversation, making it clear that if you ever have kids, you will confirm paternity. This sets a precedent. Don't let anyone deceive you or make you raise Chad's kid. Remember, once you sign that paper, the state will hold you responsible.
And that's exactly why what this gentleman is talking about is stupid. Like, just take the hair and do all these. Like, if you already have doubts at birth, do you want to just raise the child until you can get their DNA? And like, this doesn't make sense.
Even if you're not the biological father. For example, in France, men are prohibited from taking DNA tests. And in
yes,
some U.S.
See, what he suggested is actually illegal in France, which is crazy.
states like Texas, if the child isn't yours but you're married to the mother, you'll still be required to provide support. Brothers, don't be foolish. No one has to know you took a test unless the result comes back negative. If you have any doubts about the weight of the responsibility men bear, watch the next video.
Did you hear about the guy who recently found out that his sister is actually his mom? As per usual, I'm going to put his name right around here.
Oh, it's one of those things that when she had a child young and then the parents raised that child as like they were siblings. I think I've heard of stories like this before.
If you want to go to his page and watch his videos, I implore you to do so. He has several parts to this, and he is a great storyteller. I'm going to leave out some details that he includes just because I'm trying to get straight to the point here, but just a heads up, I implore you to go watch his actual videos. This all started because he was moving from Canada to the U.S. and he applied to get a long-form birth certificate in order to do so. When he did that, they called him and said, hey, something on your birth certificate is wrong. He said, what? They said, well, your mother's name is incorrect. And he said, oh, I must have given you her married name. Here's her maiden name. And they were like, nope. Still wrong. And he said, okay, well, can you tell me what name you have listed? Because that's my mom. And they gave him his older sister's name. At this point, he finds out that his older sister and his younger brother actually share the same mom as him. So
his older sister and his younger brother. Okay.
His sister is actually his older sister and his younger brothers and his biological mom, the person that they have been.
So the oldest sister had 3 kids, and they took all 3 kids as the older sister's sibling.
Calling mom is Olive their grandma. He also found out that his older sister was aware that their sister was their biological mom, but his younger brother was not. His mom apparently, his biological mom apparently had them when she was 16, 17, and 18. And he asked his mom that he...
16, 17, and 18. My jeez, people.
He grew up knowing as his mom, why they didn't question who his dad was. She said he didn't have a dad listed on his birth certificate and that she didn't know who any of their dads were.
Wow.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
Oh, jeez.
I didn't know who the father of any of them was. This perfectly sums up how responsibility is kryptonite for many women. In this case, she had several children during her teenage years, and instead of taking on her role as a mother, she decided to dump the responsibility on her own mother, essentially saying, "Mom, you take care of my mess." Many women see the request for a DNA test as irrational because they fear it will expose uncomfortable truths, that they cheated, were careless, or don't even know who the father of their children is. That's why, when a man asks for a DNA test, they resort to playing the victim. They use threats, try to shame him, or even talk about leaving the relationship because they fear being seen as irresponsible. But let's continue with this story, as it still holds more surprises.
His biological mom, who he grew up knowing as his sister, also had 2 kids that he knew as his niece and nephew, but they were also his half-siblings. So he had 4 half-siblings in total. At this point, he goes on the hunt to figure out who his biological father is. So him and his half-sister decide to do a DNA ancestry test thing. They do it at the same time so that they can see if they have the same dad or if they have separate dads and kind of answer some of those questions. When the results of that come back, they figure out that they do have separate dads. So all of the kids do have separate dads. And that
Jesus. Every single one of them have different dads. Oh my God.
their dads were not related to them in any way, shape, or form, because he was having people in the comments ask if that was a possibility, and it is not. He is not. None of them are related to their dads. Someone also asked him, why don't you just ask your biological mom who the dad is? And he said he does not have a good relationship with her, so he doesn't want to ask her, because he also, along with that, doesn't feel like she'll tell the truth. At this point, he makes a Reddit post, and from that Reddit post, the DNA Angels, which is an organization, reaches out and says, hey, we'd like to take on your case and we'd like to help you find your dad. From here, they start building out his family tree. This is where some other stuff comes into play that he talks about in his video with his grandpa, who he grew up knowing as his dad, and some crazy stuff that's going on with that. But I'll save that for you to go and watch that, because he's going to do a whole nother series on that too. Also crazy. But anyways, the DNA Angels end up giving him 2 surnames that they believe could be his biological.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
In short,
2.
the sister who turned out to be his mother has 4 children with different fathers. That woman definitely didn't waste any time. I wonder, didn't she have anything better to do? Was there no TV at her house that every man she was with left her with a child? This is devastating for any man. Imagine living your entire life in a lie, not knowing who your real father is.
That's not just men, brother. I mean, just children in general growing up without knowing their father or figuring out that their father is not their father. Men and women are getting both devastated left and right.
So many men in this same situation without even realizing it. Hugging kids, living in a happy home, and believing they're theirs when they could actually belong to the neighbor. I'm not saying all women do this, because not all women are the same. But the best way to ensure and build trust is through a DNA test. It's not about mistrust. It's about certainty and peace of mind for everyone involved.
Biological father. So he goes to his nephew, which is his half-brother, and basically says, hey, can you ask my sister / biological mom if either of these 2 names sound familiar, if she thinks either of them could be my dad. So side note, the nephew / half-brother, he did ask him if he knew anything about all of this, about them actually being brothers and not uncle and nephew. And he said yes, but he thought everybody knew. He didn't know he was the only one that knew. He thought everyone knew, and they were just kind of knowing, but going along with the charade of it. At this point, his biological mom and the mom that raised him both almost simultaneously send him the name of someone, and they both say, this is who your dad is. So he sends that person to the DNA Angels, and they're like, no possible way, that's not your dad. Then send him the full name of the person that they
This is just a swamp of freaking, oh my God,
believe is his dad, along with a photo and a picture or like proof of some sort that this man is actually friends with his biological mom on Facebook. He said he sent that person to his biological mom, and the only response he got from her was the word seriously with an exclamation point. He ends the most recent update by saying he decided to go ahead and send this man a message, shows the message that he sent him, and it's basically him just saying, hey, I think I'm your kid. So that's kind of where it lands now, but I can't even imagine finding out that my biological mom is my sister. That would be insane. He seems to be dealing with it pretty.
Like back in the day, this is actually somewhat really common, where women would have, or girls would have kids really, really young, and then the parents are like, you know what? We're just gonna take you away for 6 months, or 9 months, or whatever it is. Hide you away, and you come back like you're a normal person, and we'll raise the child as ours, so it doesn't ruin your life. A lot of parents, I've heard of stories like this, especially in other countries too.
Well, insane.
Oh, hell no!
This proves why the statistics don't lie. 1 in 3 men who take a DNA test discovers paternity fraud. This includes men forced by the court or those who decide to investigate on their own. In this country, there are approximately 150 million men. If 30% is already an alarming number,
That's
imagine
50
if DNA tests were mandatory. that percentage could rise to 40% or even 50%. That's why, when a woman uses the excuse, "You don't trust me," it's important to remember that nearly all of those men trusted their wives. And look how it turned out. This isn't about trust. It's about having clarity for both parties. Many families who take tests like Ancestry end up uncovering secrets that some women have kept hidden for years. Just like in this case, one test was enough for this man to discover that he had lived his entire life in a lie.
That's
And
a
for the
crazy
mother,
lie.
she simply doesn't care, because responsibility is kryptonite for women.
That is a crazy story to... I can't even imagine being that man. You know, my sister, like, imagine his sister just being a total bitch the whole time to him, and him just thinking that it's his sister, they're not realizing that it's his mother just being a bitch to him. Like, oh my. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. I really appreciate that, and I catch you guys next time.